Guys, the first thing I want to get into today, before we get started and do anything, and before the gang gets in here, I kind of want to talk about this Xbox versus or really just Microsoft versus FTC thing. Let me go into my bookmarks, man. I love Twitter, man. I don't know what I would do without Twitter. Twitter is like the best place for news, dog. News and discussion. It's like if you don't have a Twitter, I don't know what you're doing. Because it's how I keep up with all the news. You get all the news that you want relevant to you and what you care about. Not only do you get the news, but you get the news and discussion. So you get to react to the news live and discuss it with other people. Now, yes, there are a lot of psychopaths on YouTube. There's a lot of bot accounts, people with pronouns in their bios and all of that stuff. And you know, that can be frustrating. But still, like, how do you do without it? Also, we got to talk about, I got to apologize to Honey for two things. One, she was catching the blame for the reason why I wasn't getting my Discord notifications the whole time. It was user error. But secondly, because Honey wanted me to react to the Nintendo Direct, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna look at some of that Nintendo Direct stuff, and we're gonna try to get to as much of it as possible before Saturday Night Hypnosis starts. So, first thing, oh God, we got 9 people watching on Rumble. So hit the follow button on Rumble and on Kick. And if you're watching on Twitch, I just don't know what to say at this point, because like I don't even know what to do with Twitch. I'm gonna keep it honest with y'all. Matter of fact, let me pull up Twitch. Twitch is just weird, bro. It's like no discoverability on Twitch whatsoever. Anyway, we ain't gonna worry about Twitch. All right, so let's go. Where do we start? I should have put this in its own folder. How about we just pull up an article? Okay, well, there are a lot of, so let's try to go over some of these tweets. I'm gonna find as many of them as I possibly can. All right, so here we go. So as y'all know this week, if you aren't hip to what's going on, Microsoft is in the process of trying to buy Activision Blizzard, really big video game company. Okay, one of the biggest, if not the biggest publisher in the video game space. All right. They're trying to buy them for nearly $70 billion. Sony does not like that. They've been trying to talk to anybody who will hear them out to block the deal. The only obstacles that Microsoft has right now is the CMA, which is in the UK, and then the FTC. The FTC has an uphill battle. The FTC is in court right now trying to motion to block the deal temporarily. And what they're attempting to do is to like keep getting these temporary blockages on this deal closing and trying to stall Microsoft out because what Microsoft will end up looking at it as, we're going to be spending more money trying to fight to keep this deal in court than we are to purchase the damn platform. Now, obviously, that's an exaggeration because $70 billion is a lot of money. But it just might not be worth it. So if the FTC is successful in blocking this in court, it's highly likely that Microsoft is just going to say, you know what, fuck it. It's not worth it. It's not worth fighting this in court. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Right? And so yesterday they had Phil Spencer get on the stand where the FTC questioned him. And I'm not going to lie to you, based on, I mean, I didn't see it live. So I don't know if these quotes are, you know, hyperbole, if it didn't really go that way or what. But based on what this stuff sounds like, it sounds like the FTC was in there getting their absolute colon cleansed. Listen to this. I'm trying to make sure. Okay, everything's good. Okay, so the FTC lawyers were asking Phil Spencer to make commitments to put the Xbox games on PlayStation Cloud. Judge Corley cuts them mid question and asks Phil Spencer to step down. She has had enough. So the context of that is some of the questions that the FTC was asking Phil Spencer was so outrageous that the judge was getting fed up with them, and she just started cutting them off. Phil Spencer was questioned about why Indiana Jones was made exclusive to Xbox. He simply brought up Sony's agreement with Disney for Spider-Man exclusivity on PlayStation. So one of the common misconceptions about the Spider-Man deal over at PlayStation is that Sony automatically got the rights to Spider-Man because they own the film rights to Spider-Man. That is cap. That is not the truth. The only rights that Sony owns is the film rights to Spider-Man. That's it. They don't own nothing else. They don't own merchandising. They don't own the animations. Like Disney still makes Spider-Man animations. I don't know if y'all know that, but yeah, they make Spider-Man animations. So like the Spectacular Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man over on Disney Plus right now, that's made by Disney. So for the people who thought that the Spider-Man franchise just automatically belonged to Sony, no, it didn't. So what Sony had to do is, because of Sony's already good relationship with the Spider-Man property, they were able to use that relationship with Disney to leverage an exclusive deal for Spider-Man on PlayStation. So if you want to play that video game, you have to own a PlayStation. All right. Phil Spencer has confirmed that Sony paid for Final Fantasy 16 to skip the Xbox Series consoles. So we know, I mean, we've known for like the last 2 to 3 years that PlayStation has been actively paying to keep IPs off of the Xbox. They've been trying to put Microsoft in the dirt for years. Tom Warren says, Xbox chief Phil Spencer says, every time we ship a game on PlayStation, Sony captures 30% of the revenue that we do on their platform, and then they use that money to do things to try to reduce Xbox's survival on the market. There was a little contention about what this statement means. A lot of people thought that was Phil Spencer complaining. It's not complaining if you're sitting on the stand under oath and they ask you a question and you have to answer it accurately. And basically what he's saying here is whenever we put multi-platform games on the PlayStation, like Minecraft, like Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop, Sony takes their 30% and use that money to reinvest into other IPs to keep them off of the Xbox platform. So basically what he's trying to illustrate to them is that, yes, we do multi-platform with certain projects, but it's harmful to us because Sony is doing their best to put us in the dirt. Okay. Here's another tweet from Tom Warren. Microsoft acquired Bethesda after hearing Starfield would be exclusive to PlayStation. When Microsoft heard Starfield was going to skip Xbox, Phil Spencer decided to buy Bethesda instead. Oh, fucking Lee. There's a reason why they call him Big Dick Phil. Pause. But there's a reason why they call him Big Dick Phil Spencer. Because, to put that in perspective for those who don't understand, I'm hitting the mic again. Sony had already purchased a 1-year exclusivity deal with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Both of those are Bethesda properties or ZeniMax properties. And then Xbox heard about Starfield and how big Starfield was going to be, and it's likely because what's his name? Todd Howard. I'm sorry, not Tom. Todd Howard has said that Starfield has been in development for 25 years. You know, I don't know about that, but this is probably a game that's been rumored for years. When Phil Spencer learned that they had planned on putting it exclusively on PlayStation, he motherfucker just said, he just pulled out the wallet and said, fuck it, we just gonna buy. We're gonna skip that. We just gonna buy. Let me see, is that all I had? I think that's okay. That's all we had. Yeah, we just gonna buy ZeniMax or Bethesda, however you want to look at them. You know how that's a boss ass move. That is a boss move. Okay. And so for people, and I know, shout out to Cult Classic Cage, right? She doesn't really believe in the whole consolidation idea. I understand. I understand that. But this whole idea that Microsoft is going to be a monopoly is absurd. There are so many publishers: Capcom, Square Enix, Warner Brothers, right? CD Projekt Red, Embracer, um, From Software, Ubisoft. Like, come on. There are so many other Electronic Arts. There are so many other big publishers, dog. This idea that Microsoft is going to become a monopoly because they buy Activision, no. Microsoft was forced in this position. Let's recap. Back in 2013, when the Xbox One was revealed, Microsoft dug themselves into the biggest hole when it comes to the video game market. When the 360 was out, Microsoft developed this reputation for being the shooter box, or some people even say the bro box. This is because they had came out a year earlier than the PS3, and they were $100 cheaper. More people, the Xbox was essentially winning the console war, right? And so they got arrogant. They came into the Xbox One generation, right? And they, in their mind, gamers was going to be doing one of two things. This is what the data was telling them. Gamers was going to be either streaming Netflix or TV or whatever the case may be, because streaming was just coming in, or they was going to be playing third-party games like Call of Duty, like Madden, like FIFA, like NBA 2K, like Grand Theft Auto, stuff like that. That's what they thought. So they said, screw investing into first-party studios. We'll rely on our Halos, our Gears of Wars, our Forzas, or whatever the case may be, and then we'll rely on third-party games, and then we'll focus on streaming. So when they revealed the Xbox One, they kept talking about TV, streaming. Netflix was coming up. Remember, this is 2013. This is the earliest time, like Facebook and Twitter was like, I mean, like Facebook wasn't like that new, but Facebook, Twitter was relatively new. Instagram was relatively new. So they got one of the earliest versions of a social media firestorm. They were getting roasted left and right for that reveal. They had not invested into any first party studios. So between the period of 2013 and I would say 2016, there was kind of like this chopper, cut it out. 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 Like, this motherfucker has all day to drink water, all day to eat, and he waits till I get on stream to, like, why? Why would you do that? Anyway, so yeah, they had not invested into any first party studio. So like between 2013 and 2016, maybe 2017, I would say that Xbox was in this no man's land. They're sitting in limbo. Like Microsoft is wondering, like, do we even want to be invested into the video game industry? Do we really want to spend all this money? Do we really want, like, we're looking like a dead brand? And then finally, Don Matrick was fired, and then Phil Spencer was promoted to head of Xbox, and Phil Spencer was able to convince Satya Nadella to completely invest into Xbox. And this is coming around the time where the microtransactions and the DLCs were starting to come into the industry. And so they started seeing the potential of the video game industry. And so I would say maybe 2017, 2018 is when we, at least publicly, fully understood that Microsoft was fully invested into video games. Now, video games take a long time to make, ladies and gentlemen, a long time to make. We're talking 5+ years. We got a lot of these announcements in 2018. It's only 2023. So how is Xbox supposed to catch up, right? How are they supposed to catch up to Sony and Nintendo? Well, you'll say, oh, they're supposed to invest in their own studios. Yeah, that sounds good, but you got to get those studios built up. You got to get that workforce built up. Or if you got the money, you can just go and buy the studios and buy the IPs. And that's the thing that I think makes a lot of people, and their favorite plastic box and all of that, that's the thing that makes a lot of people upset. Sony has been shooting rocket launchers at Microsoft for years. They've been boom, boom, grenade launchers, throwing grenades, just absolutely tearing Microsoft up. And the reason they've been trying to put Microsoft in the dirt is because they knew what Xbox in the dirt, they knew what Microsoft was capable of if they ever committed to doing it. And so finally, when Sony started doing all these exclusive deals, Microsoft said, you know what, fuck that, we don't have to take this anymore. They called an airstrike on their ass and bought Bethesda. $7 billion and bought Bethesda. Sony ain't got that kind of money. They don't. And so after they bought Bethesda, Sony said, that's cool. You can buy Bethesda. We don't give a fuck. They make trash games anyway. I mean, I'm not gonna say they make trash games, but I'm not the biggest Bethesda guy. I know everybody was excited about that, but I'm like, besides Doom, I don't really see the appeal here. But whatever. So Sony just kept on, okay, cool. We're going to get Knights of the Old Republic. We're going to get a Spider-Man. We're going to get, they got all of these. They even had that Predator game. Sony was just dropping bags. Final Fantasy, they dropping bags left and right. Yeah, don't even go to Xbox. Stay over here. And Xbox said, okay, y'all obviously didn't learn y'all lesson from when we sent that airstrike. Now we sending a nuke. And they bought Activision. And that's the thing. Sony doesn't have this type of weaponry. Microsoft can call in airstrikes all goddamn day. And that's what they're doing. And this is how they're competing. You're mad if you're running a business and you can afford to buy a warehouse instead of building it from the ground up. That's going to take more time and money. Would you not buy the warehouse? If you need to compete right now, I mean, if you're making a more long-term decision, if you're playing the long game, okay, maybe you'll build the warehouse, but you need to compete right now or you're going to get pushed out of the market. You're going to buy the warehouse. You're not going to build one from ground up. If you buy the warehouse, you can move your people in there now and start developing product right away. You build the warehouse, you got to wait for it to build, and then you got to hire the workforce. Nah. So that's what's going on here. From what it looks like, it looks like the FTC is getting their colon cleansed in the courtroom. Today's funny exchange. This is from Tom Warren. Phil Spencer correcting the FTC on how acquisitions work. FTC, now you have $70 billion upfront payment that you're making for Activision, right? Phil Spencer says, no, when you acquire something, it's not a payment. It's like when you buy a house. You're buying an asset that has value, so it's really transfer of cash into an asset called Activision. That you believe retains the value that you acquired. So to try and characterize the $70 billion as somehow spent is incorrect financially. It's really moving $70 billion in cash into an asset, which is a game publisher. That to us is actually worth more than $70 billion. So it's not spent. The FTC was getting their colon cleansed in the courtroom, man. I mean, so I don't know. We're gonna see. We're going to see how it all pans out. But right now, it's not looking good for the FTC. But who knows, man? Like, who knows? All right. So, let's move on.
Let's go. Hey. Beat that thing down like you started attention, my baby. You had some plans with your man. Just tell him to cancel, my baby. Slide to the crib like Dracula's mansion, my baby. When you pull up, it's on action, my baby.